He's one of the world's worst and most notorious serial killers. Tonight, the man known as the Serpent is set to walk free from a Nepalese prison.
Released serial criminals, once imprisoned, now pollute society, raising questions about justice, rehabilitation, and human nature's darkness. This video combines past horrors, uncertain futures, legal intricacies, and the struggle between giving second chances and facing the enduring scars of their crimes. Number 1. Timothy Chavira. In a chilling turn of events that leaves us questioning the depths of human darkness, a Californian with a history etched in violence has once again cast a shadow over lives. Timothy Chavira, a name that had faded into the annals of criminal history, resurfaced with a vengeance, confessing to a heart-stopping crime that shattered the tranquil existence of retired physician Dr. Editha Cruz de Leon. On a warm December evening in 2019, Dr. Cruz de Leon, a beloved wife, mother, and grandmother, was enjoying her well-earned retirement in the heart of Los Angeles. Little did she know, her path would tragically cross with a figure from her assailant's past, a past dripping with the blood of his stepmother. Chavira, who had spent close to 3 decades behind bars for perpetrating the brutal death of his stepmother, walked among us again, only to plunge a family into despair once more. The echoes of the past resounded as Chavira admitted his guilt in the cold-blooded stabbing of Dr. Cruz de Leon. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office unveiled the shocking resolution, revealing Chavira's sinister plea. This time, however, the justice system held no second chances. A special circumstance allegation cast a long shadow, Chavira's previous conviction for first-degree assassination. Sentenced to life behind bars without parole, Chavira's heinous act paints a stark reminder that evil can find its way back into our lives, even after decades of confinement. The unassuming haven of Dr. Cruz de Leon's home became a battleground of violence, where Chavira's dark obsession took root. As investigators delved into this haunting tale, a haunting question remained. What prompted this gruesome act? Deputy District Attorney Cynthia Barnes wrestled with the enigma, yet the motive eluded them. Reports revealed that Chavira and his victim shared some form of acquaintance, but no discernible relationship could explain this brutality. The story of Dr. Cruz de Leon transcends the macabre scene of her demise. A Filipino immigrant, she embarked on a journey to the U.S. in pursuit of a medical career alongside her husband. Her legacy as an OB/GYN stands as a testament to her determination and compassion. Retirement allowed her to embrace life's pleasures, from cultivating gardens to savoring fine wines. The wheels of justice have turned, but the wounds remain fresh for Dr. Cruz de Leon's grieving family. Their voices will echo in the courtroom, sharing the impact of this nightmare on their lives. Number 2. David McGreevy. David McGreevy, whose name still gives many the chills, has been released from prison after serving an incredible 46 years in prison for the tragic death of 3 innocent brothers. This is a startling turn of events. The terrifying story begins in Worcester in 1973, when McGreevy, a lodger in their house, did a despicable crime that would leave a family permanently damaged. As their mother, Elsie Uri, courageously stands out against this horrible revelation, the memory of Paul Ralph, who was only 4 years old, Dawn, who was just 2, and Samantha, who was an innocent 9-month infant, lives on. McGreevy impaled their tiny, lifeless bodies on an iron fence, all because Samantha's cries became too much to bear. The very thought sends shudders through even the strongest hearts. The news of McGreevy's release reached Uri through a support worker, leaving her grappling with a mix of emotions: anger, sorrow, and even a flicker of cautious relief. Though he walks with a tag and must adhere to strict rules, questions loom large. Should a minimum sentence of 20 years truly suffice for such heinous crimes? Uri's belief in a 60-year minimum term is a stark reminder of the immeasurable pain she endures. The parole board's decision hinges on a transformed McGreevy, one who reportedly claims full responsibility for his actions and shows signs of rehabilitation. A psychologist's assessment highlights improved self-control and a newfound ability to maintain composure under pressure. But can society ever truly feel safe with such a past? Worcester's Conservative MP, Robin Walker, echoes the concerns of many vehemently opposing McGreevy's release. The haunting echoes of his unlawful act, the lives cut short, and the family left to grapple with unimaginable loss cast a shadow that refuses to dissipate. As we grapple with the complexities of rehabilitation, justice, and the ghosts of our past, one thing remains clear. The release of David McGreevy reignites a conversation that we cannot afford to silence. Society watches, waits, and wonders. Can a man once consumed by darkness truly find his way back to the light? The heartbreak of one family intertwines with a nation's collective conscience, urging us to seek answers and healing amidst the unthinkable. Number 3. Albert Flick. He was supposed to be just another elderly face in the crowd, his menace dulled by the hands of time. But Albert Flick shattered expectations, turning age into an accomplice rather than an inhibitor. Nestled in the streets of Portland, Maine, a sinister plot unfolded, ripping apart the notion that old age quells criminal instincts. Back in 2010, when Flick, then in his late 60s, stood before a judge in Portland, his criminal past was already a disturbing canvas of violence. Having spent a considerable chunk of his life behind bars, he had shown a chilling pattern: assassination, attack, and an insatiable rage towards women. His rap sheet was a warning, an alarm bell ringing in the minds of the prosecutor and probation officer. But the judge's decision was perplexing. Sentencing him to less than 4 years in prison, the court relied on the notion that Flick's age would temper his ferocity. Justice Robert E. Crowley had spoken optimistically of Flick aging out of his criminal inclinations. However, destiny took a darker turn. 8 years down the line, Flick once again took a life. In a horrifying act witnessed by her own children, a woman fell victim to Flick's ruthlessness, leaving an indelible scar on a quiet laundromat in Lewiston. This time, Flick's fate seems sealed. A life term in prison beckons. The statistics, as once quoted, stood with the judge's prediction. Older ex-convicts seldom returned to crime's fold. A 2017 report by the U.S. Sentencing Commission highlighted that only a small percentage of those over 65 recommitted unlawful acts, while the younger demographic had significantly higher rates of recidivism. But Flick's story was an aberration. His history of violence painted a chilling mosaic. The year 1979 marked his first murder conviction, a gruesome act committed in his apartment. The victim's daughter, a witness to the nightmare, watched as Flick's fury spiraled into a blood-soaked tragedy. Even after decades of imprisonment and release, Flick's malevolence knew no bounds. A trail of attacks and stabbings dotted his path, punctuating a life marred by violence. Despite alarms raised by authorities and prosecutors, Flick's propensity for brutality remained unyielding. Flick's final chapter was written in 2018. Obsession turned fatal as he ended a woman's life in a laundromat, the echoes of his previous crimes reverberating through time. His conviction was swift, his bloody legacy undeniable. The judge's optimism about Flick's mellowing with age now stands as a tragic misjudgment, a cautionary tale of underestimating the capacity for darkness within. Number 4. Arnfinn Nesset. Arnfinn Nesset's evil alter ego, who was formerly a protector of health, appeared and disturbed the peace of a Norwegian nursing home. He was born on October 25, 1936, and his path led from the world of medicine into the depths of unlawful acts. Nesset, a former nurse and administrator of a nursing home, masterminded a horrifying symphony of deceit that produced a trail of heart-stopping headlines. A startling reality emerged behind the appearance of caring. Nesset's list of unlawful acts dates from the late 20th century all the way up to modern criminal history. A slew of tragic tragedies that occurred while he was keeping watch over them cast cold shadows as the sun brightened the days of 1981. The Orkdal nursing home, once a sanctuary, transformed into a place of mystery and fear. The story took a harrowing turn when Nesset initially confessed to the demise of 27 patients and painted a gruesome picture of calculated injections. Succinylmethonium chloride, a paralyzing agent, became his sinister tool. The dance of deception continued as he retracted his confession, leaving a 5-month trial fraught with suspense and disbelief. In a courtroom drama that held a nation captive, the gavel finally fell in March 1983. Nesset was held accountable for poisoning 22 innocent souls with his deadly concoctions. Attempted taking life and a web of deceit added to the tapestry of his unlawful acts. The numbers spoke of an even darker reality, up to 138 lives extinguished prematurely by his hands. The scales of justice tipped, yet the sentence seemed to falter. The order imposed a sentence of up to 21 years in jail and a decade of preventive detention. However, as time passed, he seemed to change. In an act of exemplary behavior, he finally felt the liberation of independence after just 12 years and 10 years of supervision. Now, where is he? A persistent puzzle. According to reports, he lives in secrecy as a ghost of his previous self and a cipher in an undiscovered place. Olaf Jakhelm, the main prosecutor, drew a grim portrayal of Nesset as a master manipulator of life and death, who yearned for mastery over the destiny of his victims. Number 5. Pedro Lopez. Emerging into existence on October 8, 1948, in Santa Isabel, Colombia, Pedro Lopez's life was destined to be marred by the grim hand of fate. Tragedy struck even before his birth, as his father fell victim to a ruthless murderer just half a year prior. This early encounter with life's malevolence foreshadowed the unsettling path that young Pedro would tread. From the outset, Pedro's life was entwined with the sinister. Subjected to a haunting cycle of abuse and cruelty at the hands of his mother and her revolving door of boyfriends, he bore witness to the dark side of humanity. Yet, in a tragic twist of irony, he himself became a perpetrator of abuse. Expelled from his own home at the tender age of 8 due to unspeakable acts against his sister, Pedro's descent into darkness accelerated. The narrative took a chilling turn when the streets themselves became a stage for terror. An unthinkable violation scarred Pedro's soul, irrevocably altering his psyche. These pivotal events laid the foundation for the unfolding tragedy as the darkness within him metastasized into something monstrous. Transitioning from petty unlawful acts to more serious offenses, Pedro's rap sheet expanded as he matured, encompassing car thefts and violent actions. The walls of incarceration proved inadequate in containing the violence simmering within, as he resorted to extreme measures even within the prison confines. The boundary between self-defense and unbridled aggression blurred as he mercilessly claimed the lives of fellow inmates. However, the true nightmare had yet to unfold. Upon his release, Pedro embarked on a chilling spree of abduction, terror, and death. His heinous tactics played on the most helpless, girls between the ages of 8 and 12 who were seduced by false pretenses. Unimaginable crimes like abuse, strangling, and abandonment in far-off places were happening right in front of their innocent eyes. His violence seemed to have no bounds, with a death toll that may well surpass the horrifying total of 300 people lost. A master of evasion, Pedro danced deftly on the edge of arrest for years, leaving a trail of darkness through several nations. His extraordinary ability to blend in with society's outcasts and take on several personalities protected him from the reach of the law. But in 1980, his evil deeds started to come to light, tearing the tangled tapestry he had created. The depths of Pedro's depravity poured out in the courtroom as he admitted to more than 100 horrible massacres. His reign of terror had left an irreparable mark on Ecuador, Colombia, and Peru. His distorted monologue portrayed him as one of the most prolific serial executors in modern history. The world assumed that Pedro's evil intentions were stopped once he was given a life sentence in prison. Amazingly, the curtain would once again rise. The facade of good behavior collapsed in 1998 after an early release, exposing an unrepentant predator ready to strike once more. Pedro Lopez continues to be a mysterious phantom as time passes. The present time gives no hints. He is a phantom lost in the vastness of the globe. Number 6. Wolfgang Abel and Marco Furlan. Witnessing the mysterious world of Wolfgang Abel and Marco Furlan, a sinister couple whose lives were entwined in a horrific symphony of unlawful acts that forever changed the course of human history. These seemingly ordinary guys, who were born into affluence, set out on a diabolical adventure that would astound the whole world. Their terrifying story unfolds on Italian cobblestone alleys, in lively German towns, and elsewhere. A partnership forged in the crucible of high school, Abel and Furlan nurtured a sinister kinship that festered with a twisted sense of righteousness. Their mission? To cleanse the world of what they deemed deviated, they left a trail of victims that included call girls, the homeless, homosexuals, and even priests. The audacity of their acts knew no bounds as they left behind a haunting calling card. The name Ludwig emblazoned alongside a Nazi eagle and swastika, each crime accompanied by cryptic slogans. Their reign of terror, a horrifying crescendo of violence, reached its climax with fires, stabbings, and ruthless massacre. A red-light cinema ablaze, a disco turned inferno. These were just a few verses in Ludwig's dark symphony. But as fate would have it, their malevolent masterpiece encountered an unexpected obstacle, thwarted by fireproof barriers. The wheels of justice eventually caught up with these two masterminds of mayhem in a dramatic moment of reckoning. Their rampage of horror came to an end when they were cornered and caught, leaving a horrifying legacy of 28 dead and 39 injured. The subsequent courtroom drama created a picture of disordered minds, igniting discussions about responsibility and sanity. But even from behind bars, Ludwig's story holds our interest. Marco Furlan painted a portrait of a guy whose dark melody refused to die out during his daring escape, his quest for freedom, and a surprising turn of events. This terrifying story gains depth from Wolfgang Abel's path to repentance and his disclosure of unfathomable mysteries. Two minds once united in darkness now claim to have severed their connection. But the question lingers, can the harmony of Ludwig ever truly be silenced? Number 7. Charles Sobraj. The incredible story of the mysterious Charles Gurmukh Sobraj is about to take an exciting turn. The 79-year-old mastermind behind terrifying massacre has resurfaced into the world with fresh vigor after spending 19 long years imprisoned in a Nepali jail. Imagine Sobraj himself sending the following message on Christmas morning from a hotel room in Paris. "It's 6 a.m. and I'm in my first shower in a long time. Very great feeling. But let's rewind to the intrigue that led us here. Imagine a time when the world was young and wild, the 1970s. In this era, Sobraj danced along the hippie trail, a predator camouflaged by charisma. His victims, unsuspecting backpackers, fell prey to his web of deception, their passports and money stolen as they slept under the influence of his spiked concoctions. The moniker the Serpent fit him perfectly, slithering away from one unlawful act scene to the next. Fast forward to the present, where Sobraj's tale reads like a gripping thriller. Behind bars across various continents, he's tasted prison life in Athens, Tehran, and Delhi's formidable Tihar jail, where his path intersected with mine. A dark dance between captor and captive. Sobraj's story is etched with blood, mystery, and controversy. Accused of over 10 murders spanning Nepal to Thailand, he's now a free man, aiming to peddle his story. His memoir and a documentary bear witness to his nefarious escapades. But as the curtain rises on his latest act, a cast of skeptical characters emerges. Nepal's police force and a tenacious ex-UN official smell manipulation, a tale too familiar to be trusted. The Serpent's cunning extends beyond his crimes. Claiming innocence in the face of conviction, Sobraj alleges a twisted plot against him. He vows to take Nepal to task on a global stage, battling for justice. And the entertainment industry isn't safe either. Netflix and BBC find themselves in Sobraj's crosshairs for crafting a series that paints him a destroyer. As Sobraj teeters on the brink of freedom, a breathtaking twist graces his saga. The Supreme Court nods in agreement, granting him a release due to health and good behavior, casting a shadow of disbelief on his past deeds. Once the embodiment of terror, he's now set to explore the world again, but not without constraints. An intriguing ultimatum emerges. Leave Nepal's borders within a fortnight. Destination unknown. As we bid adieu to Nepal's clutches, speculation runs rife about Sobraj's next move. Where will this serpent slither to? Across continents, countries, and cultures, his legacy looms large. From haunting Afghanistan to chilling Hong Kong, his dark chapters dot the world's map. Yet it was Nepal's ancient lands that managed to ensnare him, concluding with a historic conviction in 2004. Number 8. Kathleen Folbig. In a stunning turn of events, the shadow of doubt has lifted over Kathleen Folbig, once dubbed Australia's worst female serial killer. Emerging evidence has breathed new life into her case, calling into question her alleged involvement in the tragic deaths of her 4 infant children. The saga of Kathleen Folbig, a 55-year-old woman sentenced to 20 years in prison, has taken a dramatic twist. Found guilty of the alleged murders of her sons Caleb and Patrick, as well as her daughters Sarah and Laura over a decade, she steadfastly maintained her innocence. However, a recent investigation unleashed a whirlwind of scientific findings indicating that the children might have succumbed to natural causes. This information represents a significant turning point in a case that had previously been riddled with doubt and debate. Folbig's pursuit of justice has been difficult since prior appeals and investigations have ended in failure, until now. The most recent investigation, headed by retired Judge Tom Bathurst, challenged long-held beliefs thanks to developments in the study of gene mutations. What happened? Michael Daly, the Attorney General of New South Wales, made a significant announcement. Folbig's guilt is no longer certain. She was immediately released from prison as the Governor of New South Wales promptly granted a full pardon. Daly expressed his desire for peace for Folbig, who went through a painful 2-decade process, while also taking into account the father of the children, Craig Folbig, and his own personal journey. The road to exoneration may have been built, but the legal struggle is far from done. Her convictions are still valid, but they could be eventually overturned with a successful appeal to the Court of Criminal Appeal. This significant ruling, which might take up to a year to complete, could allow Folbig to pursue damages for her unlawful imprisonment. This case serves as a historical reflection, drawing comparisons to the erroneous conviction of Lindy Chamberlain in 1982. However, considering the severity of Folbig's struggle and the extent of her captivity, the effects of her predicament appear to resonate more loudly. Rainey Rego, Folbig's lawyer, beautifully captures the unbearable suffering that Kathleen went through while spending nearly 20 years in prison and losing her children. The Australian Academy of Science has made clear that this case is a plea for a judicial system that is sensitive to scientific issues. One ray of optimism comes from the discovery of common genetic mutations among Folbig's offspring. This revolutionary finding, described as a beautiful moment by Professor Carola Vinuesa of the Australian National University, not only provides consolation to women in comparable situations, but also sparks a need for thorough legislative reform. Number 9. Nikita Bergenstrom. A man who transformed his identity more times than a chameleon changes colors. Meet Nikita Bergenstrom, a name that echoed through the corridors of crime and captivated headlines around the world. But who was he really? Born Juha Valjakala, this enigmatic figure embarked on a journey that would forever alter the course of his life. Imagine the chilling Nordic scene, a triple murder in the quaint Swedish town of Amsele. But wait, it gets twistier. Valjakala's criminal escapades began after his release from prison when he teamed up with his then-girlfriend Marita Ruutalami. Together, they embarked on a fateful odyssey that left a trail of chaos and horror. The escapades, the chase, the courtroom drama, Valjakala and Ruutalami spun a web of intrigue, each blaming the other for the grisly murders. A psychiatric evaluation added another layer, revealing Valjakala's psychopathic tendencies. With convictions piling up and a life sentence hanging over him, Valjakala couldn't resist the allure of escape. And escape he did, multiple times. From prison breaks that resembled Hollywood thrillers to changing identities as often as a pop star changes outfits, Nikita Bergenstrom, as he came to be known, showcased a mind-boggling talent for eluding captivity. Even the confines of high-security prisons couldn't hold him for long. The saga took yet another twist when Bergenstrom turned a new leaf, got hitched, and even penned down his tumultuous journey in an autobiography. But the shadows of his past were never far behind. Release on parole, rearrest, and once more, freedom. Bergenstrom's life was a pendulum that swung between criminality and second chances. As the years passed, the world watched in awe and disbelief as Bergenstrom's story unfolded. His final act in this extraordinary drama took place offstage, leaving us all to wonder about the secrets he carried to his grave. From silver screens to small screens, Bergenstrom's tale seeped into popular culture, leaving an indelible mark. Now, as the curtains fall on this real-life thriller, one question remains. Was he a mastermind, a tragic figure, or simply an enigma? The legacy of Nikita Bergenstrom lives on, inviting us to explore the depths of the human psyche and the labyrinth of identity. Number 10. Louis Van Schoor. In the labyrinth of criminal history, the name Louis Van Schoor reverberates as an enigma that transcended time, etching an indelible narrative into the fabric of South Africa's tumultuous past. Picture a man with piercing green-gray eyes, a former policeman turned security guard, who orchestrated a reign of terror that defied conventional belief. This is a story that finds its genesis in the cauldron of the late 1980s, a period marked by racial turmoil, mass demonstrations, and pervasive apprehension as apartheid teetered on the brink of collapse. Louis Van Schoor, a seemingly unremarkable individual concealing a labyrinthine past, allegedly perpetrated the deaths of more than 100 individuals during an unfathomable spree spanning 3 relentless years. Branded by some as a mass murderer and by others as a seasoned serial criminal, his deeds transcend facile labels, delving into a realm of intricate motivations. His modus operandi, bearing the cold precision of a machine, was hauntingly methodical. Answering silent alarms at business establishments, he would confront suspected intruders, ruthlessly unleashing volleys of gunfire from his 9mm Parabellum. Yet, the inexplicable element lies in the consistent verdicts rendered by magistrates, who repeatedly deemed his actions within the precincts of legality, enabling him to elude the clutches of justice time and again. Convicted for 7 counts of taking life and 2 attempts thereof, his narrative refuses to be encapsulated solely within court chambers. In an astounding turn of events in 2004, Louis Van Schoor was paroled after serving a mere 12 years out of his 20-year sentence. Transformed from an infamous name to an unassuming presence in East London, he roamed free, re-engaging with the mundane as if his wake of destruction had been but a mirage. Amidst the paradoxes of his existence, love emerged as an unexpected ally, with his fiancée, Eunice de Kock, standing resolutely by his side. Eunice, the daughter of a Cape Town lawyer, saw beyond the sensational headlines, connecting with the man who fervently proclaimed his identity as a crime fighter, a designation starkly at odds with the blood-soaked tapestry of his past. Their union, unconventional and enigmatic, unearthed the possibility of redemption amidst the mire of infamy. Louis Van Schoor, once hailed as a reborn soul finding solace in faith, discovered that the echoes of his past refused to be silenced. His public overture of apology to the bereaved families carried both sincerity and ambiguity, underscoring the intricate emotional maelstrom within him. His release met with a mosaic of responses that mirrored the broader societal complexities in South Africa's quest to reconcile historical scars with the unfulfilled promises of democracy. As the world geared up for the 2010 World Cup, a dual spectacle of sport and societal transformation, the country braced itself. The shadow of crime loomed large, a constant reminder that the voyage toward healing was a protracted, intricate journey.